Oh man, do I have one that is going to make blood out of your eyes. Guys, this one, I swear to God, the DOJ, Trump's DOJ, they can't get out of their own way in some of these cases that they're going against gun rights groups like FPC and GOA. What I'm about to show you, guys, the DOJ is actively asking that just in case they lose a lawsuit that FPC is doing, to go ahead and only minimize the impact of that lawsuit to the plaintiffs, not the rest of the Americans. Guys, this is so easy to avoid. Rights, Americans, get out of the way, good talk. Everything that I'm going to show you is going to be linked in the description box below. I cannot wait to hear what you guys think. And of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. You alone hold the power to stick this finger right in the eye of the YouTube censorship algorithm. That purple-haired, nose ring-bearing person who's hitting all the notification interruptions. Yeah, poke them, both eyes. Blink. Like, subscribe. All right, let's get it. Listen, guys, I'm doing that a little tongue-in-cheek, but I want to show you what we're going to talk about because this one requires a little bit of backstory, okay? So as we get into this, I'm going to hide that for a second. I'm going to show you an FPC document that was just sent to me. Okay, so I talked to the guys at FPC, full transparency. I just want to make sure I understood everything that they were talking about before I go live because this is a great responsibility. I do not take that lightly. Here's the deal. FPC is in the middle of a lawsuit against the federal government. Okay, I'm going to show you the lawsuit in a second, but here's the high level of what they're trying to accomplish. If you buy a handgun or attempt to buy a handgun in a different state than which you reside, you are barred from doing so. So FPC is requesting to get that law ruled unconstitutional because who says that you can't buy a gun in a state, for example, like Florida, that has a tax-free holiday or tax-free summer if you live in a surrounding state or in the region? Who says you can't buy a Second Amendment item if you pass all of their random loops that you have to jump through or hoops you have to jump through, but you only live outside of the state of which you are trying to purchase that gun? That's the idea. Now, the injury is when you have to ship the gun, which is a financial burden, and then you have to pay a financing fee or basically a background check fee or a transfer fee to a gun shop, all because of state laws or federal laws that are impeding your ability to do that. That's the injury. That's the whole thing. That's the whole case. Okay? What they just asked from the DOJ's perspective, in my opinion, is asinine. And it's going to bring up a lot of memories for you for a lot of fights that we've been on together. But bear with me. Make sure you send this one out. All right, I'm going to show you the high-level stuff, then the actual court doc. So, FPC fights back against Trump DOJ efforts to block enforcement of constitutional rights. Again, it's very broad, but I've honed it down for you. Today in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas, attorneys for Firearms Policy Coalition filed a brief countering the federal government's argument that if FPC is successful in striking down the law, this part right here, the court should enter an extremely narrow injunction that would deny millions of peaceable people their right to keep and bear arms. Guys, this is why, God, I'm like scratching all over the place. This is why we have to fight every day. This is why I say we are the bloody cutting edge of the knife, because we're bringing you these types of things. It also reinforces that just because you have an R or a D behind your name, I don't care. We're going to change the culture, so this is not a norm. What they are asking at the DOJ level is to effectively say, hey, court, just in case we lose this one, can you be sure, again, just in case we lose, can you be sure to make sure that the judgment is not a summary judgment, which would be everybody in the United States, you know, those pesky citizens who have those rights of which we're talking about. Can you only limit it to the actual FPC members and maybe only the plaintiff? This is why people lose trust in the federal government, because these types of requests. I'm going to show it to you in 1 second. In fact, I'll just go ahead and bring everything up. You can follow me on X at Braden LOA, where I'm posting all of this stuff. And I do feel appropriate time to insert the same disclaimer I said earlier today when I went with the video on NAGR. I'm not affiliated with any of these groups. It allows me to bring you all of this information. I am not obligated to do one thing or the other. It's that way on purpose so that we can have a better overall outcome for the end of the day Second Amendment user. I am not beholden to any individual group. Insert group there, GOA, NRA, FPC, SAF. I am friends with all of them, so I can bring you this information, and they're all great people. All right, let's keep on going. And NAGR is an example too. I said that already. Let's get into this here. This is the case that we're talking about. This is I just had it. I just saw it, and now I don't see it. Dang it. Here we go. Elite Precision Customs versus the ATF. Okay. Again, it says the FPC law challenge to federal interstate handgun transfer ban. What it effectively it really is you can't buy a handgun outside of your state of residence. That's effectively what we're dealing with here. Obviously, there are financial consequences of that, but the big story here is what the federal government just asked. That's the whole point. That's why I'm bringing you this, because they are asking to stop summary judgment from happening just in case they lose. They're basically putting out a little fallback position, and they're requesting the court to give them a fallback position just in case we lose. Don't apply it to everybody. Again, I'm going to reinforce that. Don't give everyone their rights. Only give rights to people who are in the actual lawsuit. Does that bring back any type of memories, like the handgun ban, or excuse me, like the pistol brace, like the ghost guns, like the Fifth Circuit, like the GOA cases? Does that bring back any memory? They did the same thing there. All right, let's keep on going. Let me show you the actual doc in question. So as you can see, this is the same thing. Elite Precision Customs LLC versus the ATF. Let me zoom in a little bit because that's real small. There we go. As you can see, Elite Precision Customs ATF. That's obviously the document that we're talking about. Now, the plaintiffs reply in support of a summary judgment. This is the whole point. This is so asinine they even put this in here. Should plaintiffs prevail on their motion for summary judgment, so plaintiffs would be FPC representing Elite Precision, right? They are entitled to injunctive relief for the individual plaintiffs and members of Plaintiff Firearms Policy Coalition. This is what they want right here. This is the part of why I did the video that I'm actually filming. This is what they want. They want it only to be limited to the individual plaintiffs, in this case, Elite Precision Customs, and FPC members. Why are rights being hid behind a court case in case you lose? This should be, if we lose and we are unconstitutional, it goes across the entire nation because this is everyone's rights. This is not only FPC rights. This is not only Elite Precision rights. This is everyone's rights. The underhanded nature of a fallback position is what I really do not like. All right, let's keep on going here. The conclusion that they put forward: the challenged regulatory regime is a presumptively constitutional commercial law that imposes a minimal burden on the right to keep and bear arms. Did you hear that phrase right there? Imposes a minimal burden on the right to keep and bear arms. That should not be in place. You cannot say in a system where you cannot infringe upon the Second Amendment, shall not be infringed, does not say only infringe if it's minimal. This is not an extreme position. It literally says constitutionally you cannot infringe on this right. And you're putting in the court case, because it's a minimal burden, we're fine. And just in case, don't give it to everybody. Good Lord. They wonder why you don't trust them. Legitimately, God in heaven. They in no way restrict plaintiffs from keeping and bearing a handgun in Texas or in any other state. They result merely in a small delay and likely reasonable fee, on the purchase of a handgun by somebody outside their home state. Guys, they're telling on themselves. Imposes a minimal burden on the right to keep and bear arms. It's a likely fee and a reasonable fee on the purchase of a handgun. This is a fee on a right. This is a limiting aspect on a right. You are putting a right behind an actual cost. It's a minimal burden. It's a reasonable fee. All of these things are not acceptable because you are doing it to people's rights. These modest burdens are significantly less than those imposed by historical regulations of commerce and firearms, the principles of which the challenged regulatory regime is firmly entrenched. As such, plaintiff's motion for summary judgment should be denied, defendant's motion to dismiss should be granted, and plaintiff's complaint should be dismissed. So basically, get rid of the entire case, but just in case you don't get rid of the entire case, make sure it only works for FPC and Elite Customs, because we don't want all this freedom getting out there. Could you imagine all that freedom at once? People might OD on freedom. I mean, you can't have that. And that's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. There's literally 8 million things going on, so I will see you in a live stream tonight. I'm Braden. See you later.